Good morning. On this beautiful Sunday in April with the gorgeous blooms and the lovely weather, I hope you've all had a chance to get out. We are so glad that you've joined us today. I'm Martha Sinkula, your service leader. Welcome to the Umpqua Unitarian Universalist congregation. You know, I've said this every week, but I really do miss seeing all of you here in the sanctuary. And as more and more of us become fully vaccinated, we can look ahead to opening our congregation, and maybe some small groups can come to the church. In the meantime, take a moment to check in with each other. Our speaker today is Michael Wheeler, our director of music, who will be available for Sunday and for the after-sermon Zoom discussion. Check-in is at 11:30. Our discussion begins, check-in is at 11:15. Our discussion begins at 11:30. And if you miss the after-service discussion, they're recorded, just like our services, so you can view them anytime on YouTube. And services are generally uploaded on Saturday nights. In addition to services and discussions, we also have meditations and interviews. There's a lot to check out. And we'd like to thank Michael Wheeler and Lucy Swangham for their work on producing these videos every week. Thank you. Our chalice lighting words are by Deborah Burrell, a flame to light our path. Fire consumes and casts the bright light. May our chalice flame consume our regrets for the past, our fears about the future, and our worries about today. May it light for us a path of joy and of peace. Our opening words are by Winston Churchill. You make a living by what you get. You make a life by what you give.
This pale and sheet white ghost still comes to numb me and flash your gone body used to reach out to the ceiling. I still wonder if you visit all your old escapes with a new face.
One contributing factor to this Vietnamese propensity to place trust in person comes from the culture's ingrained Confucianism. Of the basic ethical principle in this philosophical tradition, the fifth is tin, which is translated as faithfulness. Forgoing tin, a person becomes devoid of honor, of faith. He loses his essential humanity. Among the very deepest feelings of one raised in a Confucian society is the inhibition against betraying those with whom one enjoys a relationship of trust. This is the point conveyed by perhaps the most ubiquitous of the moral tales that abound in Vietnamese life, the legend of the Three Kingdoms. According to the legend, 1,000 years ago, there was a king in China named Tao Tao. Among his other kindresses, this king had given shelter to a refuge, a wanderer by the name of Chong Kong. In the course of time, China had split into three warring parts, and now Chong Kong was the chief general of one Tao Tao's enemies. The moment came when Chong Kong and Tao Tao were to meet in single combat. Before the combat, Chong Kong's king spoke to him, saying that he was afraid Chong Kong would feel unable to kill Tao Tao, the king who had given him refuge, because of Tao's previous kindness. But Kong swore to his king that he indeed would kill Tao if he had the chance. In the battle, Kong subdued Tao Tao, but when Tao reminded him of their past relationship, Kong could not bring himself to harm his former benefactor. It would be better, thought Chong Kong, to kill myself rather than break faith with the man and be disdained by all. And there's a popular Vietnamese proverb which reads, "It's better to die than to lose faith." So Chong Kong came to his king and said, "Kill me, I have broken my word to you. I cannot harm Tao Tao." But hearing this, the king did not become angry, as Chong Kong had expected. Instead, he said, "If I kill you, I would lose my best general. Moreover, and more important, had you killed Tao Tao, I would have lost all respect for you. You would have been dust in my eyes. Now I know that you are the Chong Kong I thought you to be." And so quintessential is this story that the cult of faithfulness has an unsurpassed popularity in Mandarin culture.
Now is the time in our service for reflection. Find a comfortable position. Feel the tensions in your body relax as we take a slow breath in. Breathe in peace. And a slow breath out. Breathe out love. Peace. Love. Let us gather our energies as we participate in our meditation. Listen to the words, spend some time in silence, and enjoy the music. A contemplation of Prometheus. There's a creeping twilight. Chained in your arms and legs, breathing becomes difficult. Dreams of struggle and former might. Sight now, bound to boulder crags and regrets that do not halt. Still today, you were happy for riding. Today you stood, if only in your mind, sloughing off the bitterness biting, and thought thoughts, mild and kind. And in this space, there starts a peace, serenity, so long a prayer, or a destination of distant lands. Now, slices of time, soon to cease, or traversing ground you know not where, and the trials that faith demands. Still today, you were at ease for thinking. Today, unchained, if only in a dream. Past shadows, with the sun's help, shrinking, and freedom emerges pristine.
Good morning, UUUC congregation and friends. I wanted to start this conversation with talking about why I wanted to discuss this subject in particular. As many of you know, I've just finished, as of a week ago, a vocal album. It's the first vocal album I've produced in about 5 years. And this got me thinking about why we create. And it's a refrain that I've used often, that when we create, we are contributing to the sum total of the universe. And what particularly are our inspirations for doing this? Now, I've been blessed to enjoy a modicum, a slight success with these songs that in the first week of being released, they have about 2,000 to 3,000 listens per song. So it's very heartening to think that there are probably less than 3,000 people who took the time to listen to the music at least once and hopefully shared it with other people. In the process of hiring a lot of singers and instrumentalists, I always wanted to make sure that I give proper credit so that anybody who appreciated their performances would be able to find their own, the performer's music that they did. And so I'm always very conscientious about making sure I link properly to the artist's pages. And I reached out to Tim Condor, who was the one who sang the song that you heard just a few minutes ago in the earlier part of this service, to ask for his information so that people could find his music. And he said, "Oh, I don't have any." And I thought that was extraordinary. I said, "Well, why don't you have a page set up for your own music?" He says, "Well, I don't make my own music. I am a session singer. I sing other people's music." And that was just extraordinary to me, because here's this individual. He's got a beautiful voice. He does the most beautiful vocal arrangements for background vocals and kind of does that one-person choir kind of thing on people's songs. And he doesn't even charge that much, which is even more extraordinary. But that he was perfectly happy and content to lend his extraordinary ability to other people's projects. And that got me rethinking about the stage crew. And I talked about this a couple of years ago, that we could look at modern society a little bit like a theatrical production, that we don't notice the magic and the sheer majesty and the miraculousness of our modern society. This notion that we put our trash in the dumpster and that trash goes away. You know, we turn on the faucet and water comes out. How long a dream of humanity were these innovations? And who was it that put together these innovations, either inventing them or installing them in our homes? The people who are relatively faceless in our society that keep this society going. And it's a little bit like being in the theater, and you're able to suspend disbelief that you're transported into this magical production, that the better the stage crew does their job, the less you notice them, right? The more magical it is, the harder they work. And that creates a little bit of cognitive dissonance in me, because I'm of the opinion that everybody who works hard ought to be able to be noticed for working that hard. So here's a group of people living in our society, or if we go back to the metaphor of the theater, whose goal it is not to be noticed. Now, of course, this conjures up all sorts of notions about charity and the noble thoughts about anonymous giving. There's the numerous biblical passages about not taking too much credit for the good that you do in the world. It was something that I hinted at a little bit in my last talk about not being saved by works. But what about when the cast is also part of the stage crew? And this is what was sparked by my conversation with Tim Condor. And this is certainly the case when we think about community theater. And I can tell you my most recent experience with community theater would probably be Shrek, because that was the biggest production that I was part of, probably to date. And I remember the build days where the cast, who were obligated to participate in the construction of sets and set pieces, would show up, usually on the weekend, like a Saturday or a Sunday, and be responsible for building. Now, of course, I had obligations on the weekend, so I was always the one showing up late. You couple that with the sad fact that I have no ability in architecture or woodworking, and shamefully, though I feel like I should have those abilities, a lot of times those who did have that skill were almost a little bit annoyed by my presence because I was kind of in the way, because I couldn't contribute things. So usually I was relegated to doing things like carrying wood or transporting trash and all that, which I was more than happy to do. And thinking a little further about it, you probably wouldn't want someone like me building a set that has to support the weight of sometimes up to 10 people. That seems like a disaster just waiting in the wings, no pun intended. And all of this makes me think about the deep complications of our interactions of this miracle of modern society. And which led me to think about the tagline that I always see in one of our congregation members, Lalene's, emails. And the tagline reads, "What we do or don't do makes a difference." And this is such a beautiful encapsulation of the complexity of the decisions that we have in life. What we do absolutely makes a difference. How many times have you saved a life by doing something you didn't want to do? It could have been perhaps answering the phone at 2 o'clock in the morning when you were sound asleep to help a friend in trouble. Not many of us are happy to be roused from sleep to go and help in an emergency, but we deem it something that's necessary to do. But what we also don't do makes a difference. And think of the number of times that a friend has come to you seeking help, where you gave perhaps, and I say this because I'm absolutely guilty of this. So a friend is talking to you about their problems, and your instinct is to want to fix. So you give advice that might be banal or not to the point, or just unhelpful. And the immediate wall that exists between you and that person, because what they needed from you was for you to not do something. They needed you to listen. And wasn't it Prometheus that, in the story, I don't actually believe in a literal Prometheus story, but it was the Prometheus story where Prometheus gifts humanity with fire. And on the surface of it, this would seem to be a story of a great and noble sacrifice that, for whatever reason, and the story is never clear on this, but for whatever reason, Prometheus loves humanity so much that he steals fire from the gods and gifts it to humanity. Now, when you think about the advancements that have happened because of the human ability to harness energy And really, our ability to start fires for the cooking of our meals, later for the clearing of fields, later to be planted with crops, later to smelt metal. All of there's a cascading domino effect that existed from our cultivation of fire into the modern miraculous world that we live in. But what has it also done? It's the smelting of metal would lead to the creation of weapons of war. Fire, especially to the arson, is no great gift to the rest of humanity. And so the effect of our doing is multifold. And try as hard as we might, we can never see so far down the line that we know all of the both positive and negative consequences of our actions. So all of this is enough to make us a little crazy. And is there an antidote to this craziness of maddening, the maddening notion of these giant rows of dominoes? And I think if not an antidote, perhaps a balm for this philosophical questioning. And that is intention. That it is intention, and actually Wayne Dyer wrote an entire book of this called The Power of Intention. We must honor the stage crew and the performers because they felt as though the production was important enough to produce. Their intention, like the beginning of this conversation, is that in the contribution to the great sum of the universe, that it was important to create, that the world would be richer for having it there. And that what we create through our actions or even inactions contributes to a way that will leave it, if not better than how we found it, perhaps further along the evolutionary path. And hopefully that's a path that, even though it has pitfalls and unseen consequences, is nonetheless noble. Thank you very much for your time. I look forward to a robust conversation with all of you. Have a beautiful Sunday.
I hope that
Our closing words today are by Arian Epictetus. Remember that you are an actor in a play, the character of which is determined by the playwright. If he wishes the play to be short, it is short. If he wishes it long, it is long. If he wishes you to play the part of a beggar, remember to act even this role adroitly. And so, if your role be that of a cripple, an official, or a layman, for this is your business, to play admirably the role assigned you, but the selection of that role is another's. Go now in peace, and blessed be.